Hello everyone, and welcome to I 100%, a series I'll be doing with games that I really want to play, and 100%, as well as some games that are recommended by friends, family, and of course you, the viewer. This will be more of a brief experience of everything I encountered during gameplay, and less of a full Let's Play experience. I put together what I thought the highlights and most notable moments were throughout my time playing. The goal for this series is to play every inch of the game, within reason of course, completing all achievements, and completing the story/post-game content. Today, on I 100%, we're looking at the game Windswept, an incredible 2D platformer that came out in November of 2025. It has an incredible soundtrack, smooth mechanics that are way more in-depth than I thought upon a first glance, beautiful artwork, and an overall just very well-polished product. The game draws a heavy inspiration from games such as Donkey Kong Country 2 and Super Mario World. Let me just say it absolutely does a wonderful job encapsulating the vibe from both of those games, while also providing its own flair and personality through its unique level design, mechanics, sound design, and art style. So, without further ado, let's get into I 100% Windswept. Upon starting a new save file, we are greeted by a raging thunderstorm and a pile of eggs. After pressing A several times, we're introduced to one of our main protagonists, Marbles the Duck. A cloud-like silhouette then sweeps by quickly, and along with it, a tornado that snatches up marbles. So, I guess you could say we got swept by the wind, like a wind swept. Anyways, on the level select screen we have Guiding Glade, a tutorial type level to show us the basic functions of our character, as well as the several collectibles and secrets this game has to offer. And trust me, there are a lot. We're taught here how to jump, attack enemies, we're introduced to the Comet Coin collectible, how to flutter with marbles, the Cloud Coin collectible, secret portals to challenge levels or side levels that grant a Moon Coin upon completion. But the most exciting part of this level is the introduction of our new friend Checkers, a turtle that is anything but slow. This guy has access to some crazy moves that we will see later on in this video. We do get shown his basic functions, with Marbles being able to pick up Checkers and throw him, then bouncing off of him to get to higher elevations, being able to swap partners and gaining different movement abilities, piggybacking and throwing Marbles upwards to gain more height, also seeing that checkpoint system for the first time, ground pounding with Checkers to go through wooden panels, or using it on the ground followed by an attack to traverse small gaps. We then grab a few more coins to complete the word Comet. Grab a record disc and make our way to the exit. At the exit, there is the final Comet Coin that only appears after you've collected the COMET coins respectively throughout the level. Also, by landing on the final goal from a higher elevation, you send the pinwheel all the way to the top, granting you the pinwheel collectible for that level. So, did you follow all of that? Yeah, I know it's a lot to take in at a first glance because the game is just throwing all these mechanics and side objectives at you. So it can feel quite overwhelming, but as the game progresses, it's pretty easy to keep track of it. Alright, so let's do a quick recap. For the abilities we can use, when Marbles the Duck is in control, he can jump, flutter in the air, spin to attack or hold it to speed up to accelerate quickly, pick up Checkers the Turtle and throw him, then jump on top to gain height. When Checkers the Turtle is in control, he can jump, ground pound, spin to attack, piggyback Marbles to throw him upwards to gain some height. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg for movement with these two. This game looks all cutesy and fun, but later levels need you to use an insane amount of these movement abilities in quick succession and in different configurations. I'm just going to show the basics for now, because if we get too much into the late game stuff, it'll be kinda confusing. For the collectibles, we can get basic star coins, used later in the game to purchase some items, COMET or Comet Coins. In almost every level, we can collect 5 of them to access the final Comet Coin. Then we have the Comet Coin, always appearing near the end of the level after all 5 coins are collected. The Moon Coin. Several are usually hidden inside portals on most levels and are rewarded to the player after you complete the secret mini-stage challenge. The Cloud Coin, hidden in almost every level, 1 per level, and are required near the end of the game for post-game content. And some other stuff. Pinwheel, awarded after completing a level only if you landed on the finishing platform from a high-ish point. Now that's everything you need to know, for now, sort of. But right now we can just enjoy the fun platforming for the next few levels. Hoppet Heights is more of a vertical ascent than a horizontal level. We climb this very large waterfall collecting all of the collectible coins, dodging and killing enemies, and finishing the hidden mini stages. Remember, our goal is to 100% this game, so we can't leave anything behind. Anything. We need those achievements. Again, I'll probably mention the soundtrack an insane amount of times throughout this video, but it's just so good. I love how well it suits the environment and platforming. It's whimsical, but also a bit stressful to give you a sense of urgency. We then grab that record, the comet coin, and the pinwheel. Alright, we grab the pinwheel. Okay, and we finally grab the pinwheel. Can't leave things unfinished, folks. We gotta get everything. Next level is Bridge Wheel Waterway. Adds a new mechanic of sitting in a bucket to be able to traverse some dangerous waters. A few new fish enemies, and a secret that we actually don't get to until later in the video. It's very well hidden. It actually took me quite a while to find it, but we're not going to look at that right now. Then we grab a few extra coins and move on to the next level. So you may have noticed here that this level icon is actually red. Well, my observant friend, it means that there's a level here that's very difficult, and it's a lot of fun, and not stressful at all.
I'm in danger!
So this here is Lampshade, owned by Lamp the Moth, and you can tell they don't have a single thought behind their eyes. And in return for some moon coins that we can drop off here, we gain access to inside the store as well as a new optional difficult level. But remember folks, nothing here is optional. Inside Lamp's shop, there are a bunch of arcade machines that we can play and interact with only once we've obtained their respective cartridges. These cartridges are hidden in levels that are displayed on the top of the screen, one for each world in the game. To the right, Lamp will sell some collectible action figures of things we've seen so far in the game, in exchange for some of those star coins we've been collecting. Next to Lamp is a board that shows all achievements we've earned so far, as well as on the second floor, there's a jukebox that can play any of the records we've found so far, and each record is the soundtrack from the specific level that it was found on. And on the final floor, Lamp can actually give you hints for a fee. They will show you in the level where specific collectibles are if you're having a tough time finding them. I actually think it's a nice quality of life thing to add, especially if people want to collect everything, but might not want to look it up online. They can use the in-game mechanics put there to assist them if they're having a tough time. So, enough of this, why don't we try out that new fun level we unlocked? Can't be that hard, can it? So this is Thornado, a literal tornado that surrounds a maze of thorns. Looks pretty nice, doesn't it? This actually took me about an hour to beat. Keep in mind I've only been playing the game for a total of 45 minutes prior to actually trying this level, so at this point in the game it feels absolutely impossible with what I've learned so far. The trick to this level, if you use the attack button while falling off a ledge, it actually allows you to jump in midair. The fun part of these levels is that the mechanics aren't 100% disclosed to you. A lot of it is trial and error with things you've already learned. Eventually, you stumble upon a new mechanic that allows you to pass a new section. Also, I swear, after a certain number of attempts, your brain just enters the flow state and just locks the f in. Everything just makes so much sense, and you can literally see the code of the game. It took us a full hour to clear this level, but we left with all the collectibles and won't have to return. Okay, let's do some rapid fire here. Hugh's Shade. We meet the first of many friendly partners that will assist on our journey. Hugh seems to be a type of chameleon painter that is able to attack with his tongue, while also going invulnerable by turning himself into a painting. He can extend his tongue to latch onto rosebuds and propel us forwards. This is also where we figured out that we can actually ground pound in midair and jump, an extremely useful combination of moves. Bleppo's Barge is an underwater level that introduces Bleppo the dolphin, another friendly partner. Bleppo allows swift movement underwater and allows attacking water-based enemies. This level is actually a fairly quick one. Salamancer's Sanctum is a cool cave-like level that introduces axolotls that create temporary platforms for us to use if we interact with them. It also shows us Grabba, a helpful, fly-like creature that can help hold us in place for a while if we want to stay there. We take a quick trip back to the tutorial level because there's actually a secret exit that is only accessible from getting picked up by the grabba. There are a few levels in the game that actually have secondary exit locations hidden in them. If a level has a secret exit, it is indicated by the fact that the level icon has a slight pink glow to it. This secret exit in the first level will act as a very important resource later for us to complete some of the more challenging achievements. Brambles in the Breeze is probably my favorite level from the first world. It turns the game into an auto-scroller, requiring you to keep up with the moving bucket and dodging enemies in order to match the speed of the bucket boat. It's another quick level, but it's one that really stood out to me while playing the game. And for the end of World 1, this brings us to Octulent's Onslaught, the first boss of the game. We accidentally hit the wind spirit, Sira, or Kira, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, into the water. She sends a tornado right at us, and here we learn that she is actually the cause of the tornado that whisked us away from home at the beginning of the game. She's someone that will be chasing around the different worlds in order to get back home. But naturally, she's pissed off at us and sends a tornado at us, but in doing so, hits Octulent and removes his hat. After we bonk him on the head a few times, his hat returns back to his head and he remembers that he actually doesn't hate us. He then lets us go and we move on to the second world of Windswept. Moving on from the World 1, Forest, we get to now explore World 2, Floral Canyon, a world with vibrant autumn-like colors as well as some fun and upbeat music. Cobby Cliffs is the first of the World 2 levels, having us dodge Cobbies, the crow enemy, and traversing these large canyons. It also introduces the Pip enemy, which is this little mouse that can literally go f*** itself. I seriously hate these things and they piss me off to no end. Nippa's Nook is another watery cave-like level that includes a new partner, Nippa the crab. Nippa can attack enemies with bubble projectiles while also creating temporary platforms for us to use. A quick level but a fun introduction to the new partner. Pips and Pits is stupid, solely because it has an insane amount of these little mouse and as I already said, I hate them. At least the level design is fun because it lets you kill a bunch of them to progress. We stop by Lampshade in World 2 and unlock the next lamp level as well as their shop for some new additions we can add to our action figure collection. We reluctantly buy them because they are all Pip action figures, but they are necessary for 100%. We will return for Lamp's level a little bit later. Honeyhop Hollow is this cool mech beehive abomination that has saw blades littered everywhere. We scale this level vertically and dodge tons of bee enemies, while wall jumping off the honey that's slathered everywhere. Grabba's Grotto is the home of all the Grabbas, assisting you by grabbing you, holding you, launching you up in the air, and occasionally dropping you. Each Grabba has a different ability associated dependent on its color, so as long as you keep an eye out for which one is which, the level's pretty easy. Scree's Spire is another vertical ascent level that introduces Scree the bat. He carries us through the entire level and is able to attack foes by whipping video game cartridges at them. There are quite a few enemies on this level and a lot of narrow pathways. I found myself retrying this level many times due to being impatient and running face first into enemies. BV Battlefield is a level full of bees, pips, and cannons. I found being slow and steady while dodging was the best plan. There are just so many enemies here, better to go slow than get hit by unnecessary enemies. Well, we finally chased Kira all the way to the other end of World 2, and she ain't happy about it, that's for sure. She immediately attacks us with thunder, but unintentionally knocks down the ship of the World 2 boss, Captain Pip. We get stuck inside and have to traverse the interior of the ship, but once we reach the top, we are faced up against Captain Pip, who actually goes down in one single ground pound from checkers. I'm not entirely sure if this is intentional, but it definitely makes the second boss really, really easy. Back to Lamp's level for World 2, we are met with the Calamitous Chasm. The level is essentially a never-ending bounce from one enemy to the next, so you have to be very careful of your movements after you land on each enemy. You can't delay too much in the air because the enemy is gone once you hit it. This lamp level took me about 45 minutes, I want to say, and in my opinion, I actually think that this level is a bit easier than the World 1 lamp level. It's a bit more forgiving due to the fact that there aren't spiny vines literally everywhere you look, so you have a bit more freedom to move around after your jumps. One thing I did forget to mention earlier is that during these lamp levels, that animation you see at the beginning where the hearts combine basically means that if we get hit once, we have to get reset back to the start. so you can't get hit with marbles and checkers and knock out one and continue the level with the other. If you get hit once, you either get knocked back to the beginning or back to the nearest checkpoint that you hit. Overall, another really cool, fun, and somewhat challenging level, and now we move on to World 3. World 3 is Snowy Mountain, and I'm pretty sure it's the shortest of all the worlds, but it's home to some really unique level designs. The first level of World 3 is Nugget's Snowy Sprint, where we have to ride the puppy partner, Nugget. The difference with Nugget is that once you get on him, you can't get off, and the little guy does not stop moving. You can toggle between his regular speed and his sprint speed, which is necessary to make some of the more difficult jumps. Temporal Railroad, hands down, has to be one of my favorite levels in this game, just because I think the idea is so cool. The best way to describe this level is that it's kind of like a carnival funhouse where sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. There's a big theme of time travel woven into this level, so it makes sense that you have to go backwards at some points. And then, of course, at random, near the end of the level, a meteor comes in and destroys everything. Because why not? Akura's Abyss, or Akira's Abyss, however you want to say it, it's a cool underwater level, home to lots of dead fish that alternate between a damaging and non-damaging state, and a very hungry orca that's trying to kill you for that later half of that level. Slicko Slide is this cute vertical ascent level where you have to bounce off the heads of the little Slicko enemy. It's a gecko that sticks to giant blocks of ice and just continues to climb and slide down them over and over. We then visit Lamp, pay the moon coin tax to unlock the next challenging level, and buy all of the new collectible figures available to us. And now it's that time again. We subject ourselves to yet another round of torture and take on Dizzying Descent. So yes, this is another good hour of trial and error, but we do eventually figure out what the trick is to this level. All of these levels have one thing in common. They want you to use a very specific mechanic to progress. The caveat, of course, is that they don't exactly tell you how to do it, because where's the fun in that, right? For this level, we want to use checkers as much as possible, with using his ground pound ability midair. When you use this attack in midair and you hit an enemy, it actually resets your ability to ground pound in midair, and you can do this again, and again, and again, and again. As long as you're hitting one enemy, you'll be able to repeat the ability. Once I figured this out, it felt like it opened up so many possibilities with being able to traverse levels way quicker. The boss of World 3 is Lunosa, another moth. Once we reach the peak, we meet at her library, where she challenges us to a duel. Her boss fight is quite unique because she has an attack phase, then after the phase, she opens up a side level that grants a moon coin. Then after you finish that side level, she enters her next attack phase, and this just repeats itself 5 times and then the fight ends. Each time she starts her attack phase though, her attack pattern is also different. So overall, it's not a tough fight, but I really enjoyed how unique it was. Rapid fire level time for the fire-themed world Lava Field. Spicy Ice Speedway is a transitional level between the ice and lava worlds that has us speeding down a melting platform to reach the finish. Magma Well is a level where we traverse all the way down a magma crater in a bucket, and once hitting the bottom we get chased all the way back up by a magma, which is a magma shark. Lava Pike Polder includes lots of precise platforming by jumping from one pole to the next and avoiding an endless onslaught of lava and bees. Honey Buzz Boiler is yet another mechanically infused honey hive, except this time it's equipped with way more enemies and tons of lava to take us down. I think this level was a good stepping stone to show the player the potential of the increase in difficulty for the standards of levels going forwards. Vexatious Vents adds a new mechanic by connecting the left and right side of your screen together to make one continuous loop. Rusty Reservoir is an underwater level full of pufferfish and loads of mechanical traps to kill you. Smoky Squall allows you to continuously use marbles to flap upwards due to the constant stream of air that is being set up. Sawmill Thrill is the next Lamp level, and this is the first time I actually experienced true rage in Windswept. This is the first level that I actually had to take a minute to step away from the game and come back the following day to try it. I was getting so damn close to beating it, but kept dying from silly mistakes. The entire premise of this level is that you throw checkers on a conveyor belt above you, and you must maintain the same pace as him or else he gets sent back to you because the distance between the two of you is too great. It adds a lot of urgency and limits the player to only the moveset of marbles. And looking back, it's not as hard as I first thought it was, but the jump in difficulty was very noticeable. Lastly, we move on to BV Broadcast Tower, where we get to meet Queen BV. We bonk her on the head a few times while avoiding endless waves of her BV warriors. Once we knock her on the head enough times, we finally break her outer shell to reveal that it's just a regular BV that has been controlling the body of the Queen Robo BV this whole time. We grab our pinwheel and move on to the next world. Welcome to World 5, Ruins. The Ruins' first level is Bell's End, and I think it does a perfect job capturing the vibe of the world. We've just conquered a fiery mountain full of lava, and now we're rewarded with these sacred ruins full of puzzles to explore. Once you reach the end of the level, you get to ring the huge bell, which brings you all the way back to the start, where, funnily enough, the end of the level is. We circle back to Lamp's Post to pick up some more collectibles and move on to Thrill Hex Thicket. We get this new mechanic of bouncing off the Thrill Hex enemy, which gives us a moment to jump in midair. These movements can be chained from one Thrill Hex to the next, which creates some fun midair platforming. Shrine of the Salamancer brings us back to our cute little axolotl friends, who again aid us in making it through. Instead of making platforms for us, they temporarily cleanse the water, allowing us to swim through it. It essentially acts as a timer for us to make it through the water, because as soon as the magic runs out, the water becomes toxic. Prickly Peril is another one of our favorite thorny maze levels. Lots of spikes to avoid, BV enemies, and some precise platforming. I can't stress enough how long this level took me, with the sole reason being I couldn't stop rushing the portion with Scree. It isn't particularly difficult to navigate the hazards, but I just kept rushing and having to restart. Toxic Tunnel similarly has the toxic purple water that we use the Salamancers to cleanse. The difference here is that there aren't any Salamancers present, so we have to completely avoid the water. That means using more creative measures to collect items and utilizing the environment in areas where the toxic water rises and falls. Near the end of the level, we find Nippa, and we can just use them to create as many temporary platforms as we want to completely avoid the water. We eventually catch up to Kira, and she immediately knocks us away. We pursue her, and she turns into her final form, Kira Superstorm, and runs away for the time being. Before continuing, we backtrack and pick up some more action figures and take on the next lamp level. Baneful Briar, in my opinion, is one of the easier lamp levels, which is funny because it's actually located near the end of the game. The hardest part of the level is once you reach the top of the chasm, you have to platform up between BVs. There are quite a few moving enemies as you climb up, so it's easy to get a bit confused. Also, I got to the very top and made the dumbest decision and shot myself right into an enemy. Luckily, I got back up there in a few more attempts, grabbed the Comet Coin, and finished off Baneful Briar. Now, we can finally head back home and relax. We see where we hatched out of our egg at the beginning of the game, realize that there actually isn't anything fun to do at home, and chase Kira into the next world. Kira Superstorm is the final level of the game before post-game content. It starts off super fast paced with Kira throwing constant projectiles our way while we chase her and dodge the enemies that inhabit the area. We chase her all the way to the end, and just as we get close, we get struck by lightning, and all hope is lost. That's until Octolint, the first world boss, comes to our rescue and helps us fend off Kira's attacks. We shoot ink bubbles at the boss and try our best to dodge as many attacks as possible, but Octolint gets knocked out and we get sent flying away. Luckily, we end on the World 2 boss's ship, Captain Pip. He then takes up arms and defends us and his crew against Kira Superstorm. His super fast machete attacks make quick work of Kira's health bar, but he isn't able to take her down completely. Nearing the end of this phase of the fight, Lunosa, the World 3 boss, rockets up through the air and grabs us. In the final phase of the fight, we control Lunosa. She's super quick and agile, allowing us to bob and weave in between the flying enemies that are scattered everywhere. We lure Kira into them and she takes damage from each contact with these enemies. The fight is super close in the end and we're on our last hit. Luckily, Kira hits one final copy and is taken down for good. We send Kira flying and she gets sent all the way back to her house in the sky. So hopefully she won't be attacking us anytime soon. Lunosa safely drops us off and heals us of our injuries. She bows to us, and we successfully complete the main storyline of Windswept. I can't explain in words how much I truly enjoyed this game. A huge props to the developers and the entire team that worked on this. You've done an incredible job creating a game that will leave a lasting impression on me for years to come. Let's let the rest of the credits roll and see what's next for our Windswept journey. So finally, we've completed the main story of the game. We defeated Kira's Superstorm, and we have returned our lovely companions home. But, and this is a big but, there is so much more left for us to do in this postgame. Remember all those cloud coins we have been collecting through our journey through distant lands? Well, those coins are what allow us to beat the next level, Cloudy Clamber. Cloudy Clamber requires a minimum of 40 cloud coins to complete, because as we climb, we actually spend the cloud coins to create cloud platforms for us to ascend further. We have no issues with this level because every level so far has been 100%ed, with all cloud coins collected. Entering World 7, the Cloudy Sky, we gain access to a few more levels that are specific to some of the partners encountered throughout the story. Marbles and checkers are not used in these levels, and similar to lamp levels, if we get hit once, we die. Wingbat Wharf uses Scree to traverse an abandoned ship utilizing his cassette tapes to eliminate threats. Turbulent Torrent uses Bleppo to push through the water current with the drill attack. Shiversling Spring, say that 10 times fast, uses Hugh to slingshot himself using his tongue on the rosebuds for some precise platforming. Ash and Dash uses Nugget to dash through a lava wasteland, but I lost the footage, so you're going to have to use your own imagination. And finally Sunset Scuttle, using Nippa to platform and dodge loads of enemies using his bubble attacks. Similar to the cloud coins we've gathered so far, by using the Comet coin we can unlock the final world, full of the hardest levels this game has to offer. Welcome to World 8, Space. World 8 is essentially pushing the limits of the game and the mechanics that you've been taught or learned through trial and error. Every level is treated as a lamp level in the sense that if you get hit once, it's either back to the start or your most recent checkpoint. These levels are by far my favorite part of Windswept. World 8 is perfect for people that love challenging platformers and yearn for that satisfaction once they complete it. Skyward Horde is the first level given. It's not too difficult, but it's more of a slow start to get us warmed up for what's to come. Pip Pop to the Top is extremely satisfying precise platforming by bouncing off of the floating pips and then immediately bouncing off of their balloons. Bobbing between them and latching onto Grabbas was a very unique task. For Frigid Flurry, it's best if I let the game audio speak for itself to explain what you had to do to beat this level. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Grabbas Gauntlet, as you could expect, has a crap ton of Grabbas. Each one, of course, having a different interaction with the player based on their color. I found with this level, you could actually skip a majority of the platforming by using combinations of moves to give you as much height as possible. I think this level would have taken me a lot longer if not for the cheesability of the platforming. Honey Side Up puts a fun twist on the honey platforming by having us climb upside down and using its slowing properties for some other puzzles. Scree accompanies us for the beginning of the level, and later we are given Hugh to navigate some of the more treacherous parts, and using his invulnerability to avoid damage. We had to get creative with the honey mechanic here, and use Checker's shell to bounce off of to give Hugh a bit more height since he can't jump that high. Dire Dire Ducks is not only a very fun reference to Super Mario 64, Dire Dire Docks, but it's also an extremely unforgiving level. It has the mechanic which connects the left side of the screen to the right, creating a loop, while bombarding you with hordes of enemies and very tricky vertical platforming that requires very precise movements and patience. Even using the shell jump similar to ROM hack Kaizo Mario games. I should also state that all these levels each took about 1 hour to complete, and I'm only showing you the highlights. Drop Dash Chaparral is exactly what it sounds like. You drop and you dash, and you drop and dash, and drop, and dash. I really enjoyed this level because it just felt like a rhythm game, with you launching through barrels and cancelling the momentum to then drop and dash through more enemies and enter more barrels. It was very rinse and repeat, but I think it was a perfect balance requiring the player to react quickly. Dreadmaw's Dwelling, respectfully, this level. Did I enjoy playing it and beating it? Yes. Was it extremely satisfying to finally complete? Yes. Was it annoying as hell? Yes. Solely for the reason that this piece of exists. This Dreadmaw had me wanting to yank my hair out for the entirety of this level. The platforming is tough, but doable. It's just the fact that this asshat swims back and forth every so often to attack you. It would mess up my flow and I would just crumble and die at every attempt. Even though I'm complaining, it was actually a really good level, I just needed to get good, which I eventually did. Cyclonic Skyway is the last level before the 2 hardest levels of the game. It honestly felt more of a palate cleanser after Dreadmaw's Dwelling. It wasn't too difficult and was mainly a swarm of BVs and dragonflies that you have to avoid. A well-deserved break after what we endured, in my opinion. And here we are, folks, the last 2 levels of the game, Windswept and Windswept EX. These are the hardest levels in the game, but by far the most fun. The best way I can compare these levels are if you've ever played the game Hollow Knight, and were brave enough to try the Path of Pain. The feeling of relief when you hit a checkpoint, or even just finding a piece of ground that's safe to stand on to take a breath. It's safe to say that if you don't like challenging levels, this one might not be for you, but don't let me stop you. Now, Windswept and Windswept EX are technically the exact same level, but Windswept EX has a few tweaks to it to make it a bit more difficult. So I've decided that I'm going to compile a run for Windswept EX for you to view. It's going to be the best cuts of my recordings that I have. The full cut clip of me playing this level is 7 minutes long. No, you didn't mishear that. It's 7 whole minutes of platforming, and I'm going at a fairly fast speed too. I'm sure people can beat it quicker, but I was moving at a steady pace the whole time. I'm going to play it with no commentary so you can see the pure chaos that is this level. There are some parts that are way easier than others, but overall it's a damn hard level, and clearly a long one. Without further ado, I give you Windswept EX. And that is Windswept EX, the hardest level in the game beaten. It's so darn satisfying beating it, and I really encourage anyone that has an affinity for difficult platformers to give it a try. So with every single level in the game beaten, that just leaves us with some of the last few stragglers in the achievement list. Majority of the achievements are attained through regular gameplay, so I won't go over them, but a full list is available on the Windswept Steam page if you're inclined to see them. This here is a list of the more difficult achievements, but as you may notice, some of these have just been completed from finishing Windswept EX. The achievements We Shine Brightest Together, Watch Me Dance, High Above the Land, Strike the Earth, and The Complete Set are ones we literally just completed, so we can immediately cross them off our list. This list here is additional achievements we must get, but they will be done last because they are the most tedious. We are going to shift our focus to these two for now because they are quite easy. We take a trip back to Cloudy Clamber, where we get to see where Kira has been hiding away in her house in the clouds. Not only is this a nifty little Easter egg, this super high platform is perfect for us to flutter with marbles for the full 45 seconds. We snag the What a Fall achievement and move on to Disc Jockey. I had returned to Lampshade to check out what discs I was missing, and in doing so, I finally noticed that the wall next to the jukebox had a faint glow to it. Upon throwing checkers at it, it reveals the music disc specific to Lamp's arcade. I had to re-record the footage of me breaking the wall and finding it because I forgot to record me breaking it on the initial discovery. We then check what we're missing, and the first disc is from Nippa's Nook. In this section of Nippa's Nook, if you platform all the way down this chasm with the bubble platforms, you can find a disc hiding behind this pufferfish. The last two are Dizzying Descent and Spicy Ice Speedway. I booted up Dizzying Descent, and of course, at this stage in the game, we have to check every nook and cranny. And by a fluke, I check above my head at the start and grab the music disc practically instantly. Spicy Ice Speedway took a bit longer to locate. I was jumping up constantly seeing if there was a floating random disc in the air somewhere, but then I remember all of the sinking ice platforms in this level. So of course, I triggered each one and waited for them to sink all the way down into the lava to see if they would eventually reveal a hidden disc. And luckily enough, my theory pulled through, and behind one of the pillars near the end of the level, we snagged the last disc. Look at that, 40 out of 40 discs. I love 100% stuff because a screen like this is so damn satisfying. Now with those two finished, we have two more on this list, and by doing these achievements, it will segue us into the next list of challenges. Left Behind ties into these three challenges: Touchdown, Early Bird, and Slow and Steady, but we'll get to them shortly. Grounded is kind of a freebie. You can piggyback on the ground and just toss marbles up and land on a finish platform. I found the first level of ruins to be an easy pick because the finish is right beside the start. For Left Behind, we have to start a new save file. Everything starts off as usual, but as the name suggests, once we reach checkers, we don't interact with them, and we jump to avoid contact. Now, typically, you wouldn't be able to beat this level without checkers, but thanks to the rainbow grabber that spawns briefly and takes you to the secret exit, we can actually finish the level with only marbles. Once we step on the end platform, the game gives us the achievement, but also prompts us with our next task. You have to beat the game with solo marbles, aka the Early Bird achievement, or beat it solo with checkers for the Slow and Steady achievement. Regardless of who you pick, it sets a flag on that save file and will make it a solo-only run. You will have to make a new save file if you want to beat the game solo with checkers afterwards, which, spoiler alert, we have to do for the other achievement to get 100%. For the Touchdown achievement, I actually had to consult the Windswept community page because I was having the hardest time trying to figure out what had to be done. It wasn't hard to do at all, I just didn't think of it. When prompted to pick marbles or checkers for the solo runs, aka hard mode or super hard mode, If you press down once on your controller or keyboard, it brings you to a secret screen which unlocks Hero Mode. In this mode, if you die, the save file gets deleted. It's important to note that the only achievement here is to press down and acknowledge the fact that this Hero Mode exists. You don't have to play or beat the game at all in this mode to get any more achievements. I decided to beat the game in hard mode with solo marbles first. I found it easier because although I was limited to only marbles movement abilities, I didn't have to worry about collecting anything. My sole objective with hard mode is just to get home. You're not even required to beat the final boss to get this achievement. It honestly made this playthrough a breeze because I could just rush to the end of every level without worrying about missing any coins. We then had to do the same thing with checkers, and we took the exact same approach. We blasted through every level as quickly as possible without worrying about collectibles. The only difference with super hard mode is that they remove all checkpoints in the levels. Checkers though has insane movement in this game, so having him allows us to blast through the vast majority of levels. There are a few levels near the end of the game that you have to take a bit slower because they are littered with enemies and getting hit means you get sent back to the start. But even if you take your time on those few levels, you can probably clear the game in 1 to 2 hours. So with those completed, we are left with the final 3: High Score, Pacifist, and Broke. High Score is tied to these arcade machines we've seen through the game sitting on the bottom floor of Lamp's arcade. To gain access to them, we need to interact with them and figure out where the cartridge for that arcade machine is hidden. It will give you the world and the level, and it's your job to search for them. Earlier in the video, I had mentioned that one of the starting levels had something hidden, and we'd have to return here to find it. This cartridge is very well hidden, and it takes some out-of-the-box thinking to get to it. I completely missed it on my initial pass of the level, but now that I know I'm looking for something hidden, I managed to spot it. By taking this beetle all the way from the right, all the way back to the left, and into this pool of water, you can use it to break this wall that hides the cartridge from World 1. The World 2 cartridge is found behind a similar wall that has a slight crack on it. By throwing checkers in midair, you can break the wall and collect the cartridge, giving access to the second arcade game. I won't be going through all the locations of these items, but if people need help where to find them, I'm happy to make a video later on. So let's jump into these arcade games. In Hot Prince, you have to hold down the jump button to launch yourself forward. Depending how long you hold the button will dictate how far you jump. You have to navigate between lots of enemies and some precise platforming to get through. This game took me the most attempts by far due to there being quite a few difficult jumps, just like that one. Quick Pip Runner turns you into a Pip Bandit that can't stop running. If you bump into an obstacle, you bounce back the other way, so you can use that to help navigate this level. Also, by collecting the chili peppers, it temporarily increases your speed to allow you to traverse some of the harder jumps. I should also mention all of these little moon coins you see me collecting. They are solely for the purpose of calculating a high score at the end of the level. You don't have to collect all of them to beat the actual game. Did I go back and collect all of them just to see the end screen say I got all of them? You're damn right I did. Slicko My Beloved has us control a Slicko that is climbing a huge ladder of ice. By holding the up button, we can climb indefinitely, but as soon as we let go of the climb button, we will slide down a set distance. You can also press down to immediately slide down that same set distance. We also utilize the BBs holding shields to bump us to the left or to the right, as we have no control of our horizontal movements otherwise. This was more of a be very patient and time your movements kind of level. I think it took me longer than usual to complete this because I kept getting impatient. Eventually we make it to our beloved Slicko and finish the game. Ready Aim Piranha, first off, has a banger of a soundtrack. I loved it so much. Also a really fun arcade game. We take on the form of a Piranha and jump through patches of lava in between enemies and pillars of rock to make our way through. Near the end, a magma starts to chase you to make the jumps a bit more difficult. This was the quickest one to complete, I think, and also it was my favorite. Chime Runners brings us back to marbles and checkers, in a timed sprint to the finish. We have to race against this timer that appears on the bottom of the screen, while dodging enemies and collecting coins. In order to increase the timer, we have to interact with the chimes that we see scattered throughout the level. Each one can be interacted with once, and will give us a slight boost to the timer. My first few playthroughs were just seeing the layout of the level and remembering where the chimes were, so I could plan an efficient route. Once I had a good plan, I was able to breeze through the level in no time, granting us the high score achievement. Now, the last two achievements I kind of bundled together, but I also misunderstood the wording of them, so I ended up starting another brand new save file, which in hindsight is the dumbest thing I should have done. Thinking that I had to beat 40 levels in a row without killing an enemy, and 40 levels in a row without collecting coins. I thought that if I collected even one, it would invalidate the save file I was on, and make it so I couldn't get the achievement on the save, and I would have to make a new save and start over. I also found that there is actually a modifier menu that gives you access to a crazy amount of customization to your playthrough, if you so choose to. I eventually enabled coins KO you and KO'd baddies KO you, essentially making it a foolproof plan to ensure I didn't accidentally grab a coin or kill an enemy by accident. A successful broke playthrough of a level is indicated by a gold star flag planted on the level, as well as a successful pacifist playthrough is indicated by the white flag planted on the level. This clip here is me being proud, showing off all the levels I beat on pacifist and broke, yet I still didn't realize I was a colossal idiot. I then finally realized that I didn't even need to make a new save file for these 2 achievements. The game doesn't care that you have all the coins collected on every level. It only cares that you make it from start to finish of that level while abiding by the broke/pacifist rule set. That means, on my main 100% save file, I can get the pacifist and broke flags on levels I have already beaten. Now, this may seem obvious, but apparently not obvious enough. Keep in mind, I finally realized when I had already made it to World 5 Ruins, so I was so upset with myself. Now, I did what any sane person would do. I of course deleted the save file, went back to my 100% save file, and redid every single level with the broke and pacifist rule set and got flags on every single level up to Kira Superstorm. I honestly think I'm a psychopath sometimes when I put myself through this crap. Anyway, we start up the final boss level, Kira Superstorm, one final time, ensuring we don't collect any coins and don't kill a single enemy. We start the boss fight like usual, defeat Kira, and get resurrected by Lunosa. We take one final hop onto the finishing platform, and we hear the last 2 achievement notifications chime for Pacifist and Broke. Therefore, finally 100%ing Windswept. We are done with this beast of a game. Oh, I am so happy it's over, but I'm so happy I got to enjoy this game to the fullest. I'm going to give Windswept a solid 9 out of 10. And again, highly recommend it to anyone that enjoys tough platformers. If you made it this far to the end of the video, I greatly appreciate it, as this was my first real attempt at long-form content, and I'm really proud how it turned out. I of course have a lot of room for improvement, but I'm taking this first I-100% completed as an absolute win. If you want to see me make more of this kind of content, please like or subscribe or even comment on the video, whatever you want to do, just so I know that there is an audience that would like me to continue this type of content. Also, if you have any suggestions for other games I should 100%, I would really appreciate it so I can plan what is next on my list for games to complete. So, once again, thank you so very much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.